everyone, today's video is going to be all about the things I didn't expect when I was expecting. I really wanted to do this video. I was talking to Joel about it at dinner one day and I was like, I really want to do a video all about the things that I did not expect at all and that I got completely surprised about. Because in all honesty, yeah, we see glimpses into people's lives with babies on social media. We see glimpses in people's lives with babies with our family on family events and occasions and stuff. But we really don't know everything. Even if you babysat, even if you worked with kids, you still don't know everything until you're actually with the baby 24/7 and they're your own. So that is why I wanted to do this video, is for a lot of new moms or people thinking about conceiving, all that fun stuff, to maybe help give you a glimpse of what is to come. But I am going to be very real and raw in this video, so don't take it as complaining or anything. I just want to be as truthful as I can, because we mainly see in these days are the glorified, the glamorous life of having a baby, which is truly amazing. I love little Riley no end, but there are some hardships to it, and I really want to make that aware for people and be really honest about it. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about that I have on my list is breastfeeding. So I thought breastfeeding was going to be so easy. I talked about this kind of a few times on my channel about my whole journey with it. Riley was actually tongue-tied, which we had a good idea that she was going to be tongue-tied because I was tongue-tied. If a parent is tongue-tied, most likely the baby has a very high percentage of being tongue-tied or lip-tied as well. There's two different kinds, and there's also different variances of them too, extremities. So my biggest advice to you guys is right when you have the baby, if you're in the labor room, let the nurses know that you want them to check for a tongue tie, and then you'll have a pediatrician check on the baby. You want to ask them to also check for a tongue tie or a lip tie. That's what we did. We got told that she had a tongue tie from 4 different people. Then we finally got the permission to go to Rady's because we had to clip it because it was affecting breastfeeding. So that's my biggest advice, because a lot of them do get missed. And then also some of them don't have to be treated depending on how extreme they are. And some doctors also don't like to treat them as well. So it really comes down to you and what you want. For me, mine didn't get caught until 3 years old, and it actually affected my speech. So I did speech therapy also because I had really bad ears. So it was like I was learning to talk underwater. So there were no clear pronunciations, so I had a really big difficulty with that. And when they were gonna put tubes in my ears, they checked and they're like, oh, she's got a tongue tie, so we need to clip that because this is keeping her from speaking clearly. So yeah, in some cases it can affect their speech. So that's why I say just get checked out and go with what your doctor and what your gut tells you. So with Riley, we got hers clipped. So I didn't think breastfeeding was going to be hard, to be honest. I thought it was gonna be easy, but nope. I also had TMI, but flat nipples. So I had to use a nipple shield, which also can kind of hurt your supply because it can keep stimulation, if it's not properly placed on, from going right to the nipple to tell your body that you need to produce more milk. I was really good with my supply in the beginning for the first few months. Then my period hit, and when your period hits, your supply drops for that day. So you really want to push and power through it, and then it will go back up after a day or two. But that's when we finally had to introduce formula, was at 2 months, and it was only a little bit. We mixed it with breast milk just to get my supply back up, but we had a big difficulty with that. She finally didn't have to use a shield around 3 months, but by that time she was kind of used to a bottle, because we also had to introduce a bottle to her to make sure she was getting her full feeds, because she wasn't gaining as fast in those first few weeks. So we had to introduce a bottle to her to make sure she was getting 2 full bottles a day. Basically got to the point where she kind of weaned me off and was like, I'm over this. I just want the bottle. I'm totally good. But I definitely wish I would have taken a class on it. There are classes that the hospitals that you go to offer. So I definitely recommend checking those out, because there's a lot that I didn't know that I wish I would have known. And some of my biggest tips is never miss a feed. If you guys end up missing a feed, make sure you pump during that feed so you don't miss it, because the second you miss it, the next day you won't supply enough for that feed at that time. So you never want to miss a feed, even when they start sleeping through the night. Many moms, to keep their supply up, they get up every few hours to pump to help keep that supply up and also help keep them from getting engorged. So it's very, very trying, and breastfeeding is very, very tiring, you guys. Pumping is very tiring, and I got really bad baby blues with it. So that's what kind of led me to stop pumping, even when she didn't want to nurse anymore, because it was no longer emotionally healthy or mentally healthy for me to continue. So I had to choose to stop that. Breastfeed on demand as much as you can all the time to keep that supply up. Remember that it's all supply and demand with breastfeeding, so the more that the baby demands it and the more the baby eats, the more supply that will come. Also start building a stash. If you are on maternity leave and you're getting ready to go back to work, you want to work on that stash immediately, especially if you want to breastfeed for the full year. My biggest recommendation is about 1 or 2 times a day after you breastfeed, then pump. Don't pump and then breastfeed or nurse, because then you won't have enough for them. So you want to make sure you nurse first and then pump afterwards. Start throwing into the freezer, start building that stash up, because then you'll have that supply for them when you go back to work and you'll already be working on it. And also, just in case if something happens and your supply completely drops and there's just no more nursing anymore, you have a stash already made for yourself. So definitely start it from the beginning. And also, when you start introducing bottles, make sure you're introducing slow flow bottles. My opinion, I don't really believe in nipple confusion. I believe in kind of flow confusion, to where if they're given a medium flow bottle, they're gonna get really used to that flow and how easy it is to get out, and they're not gonna wanna work for it with you. And that's what happened with me. I use slow flow bottles with her always, but I think since she just always had a struggle with nursing, she just preferred the bottle hands down, and she was a very hungry baby. She loves her milk, you guys. You can see her. She's a chunky monkey. She loves her milk, and honestly, when I brought in formula, it really made her thrive, and she loves it. So I have no regrets about it. I'm happy to see her happy and thriving. So just know that even if breastfeeding doesn't work out for you, it's okay. Don't put that stress on you. I know it was really hard for me to finally say, all right, I'm not doing it, because I didn't want to be judged. I felt like I was going to be judged by everyone around me, but I had to do it for me, and she's doing just fine. So, and I also was formula fed from I think I was only nursed for a few weeks, so I turned out just okay. So don't stress about it, and don't get down on yourself if it doesn't work out. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about is hemangiomas. So hemangiomas, I never knew about these things, you guys. I never knew about them. Basically, it's a birthmark that most commonly appears as a rubbery bright red nodule or extra blood vessels in the skin. So there's actually 3 different kinds. There is superficial, where they appear like a red, like strawberry on top of their skin, and they get bigger over the first few months, and then they kind of stop, and then they start going away after 5 to 10 years of life on the baby. And then there is the deep ones, which is what Riley actually has. She has a deep hemangioma, which are a bunch of blood vessels that just kind of congregated in one little spot. So she's got a very big bump, looks kind of like a bump right here, and it's underneath her skin, and then the skin appears kind of like a bruise. So it appears purple and blue. It really popped up on her at 2 weeks, and I looked at it and I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, did she get pinched or something? 'Cause that's how small it was. It looked almost like someone picked her up, she got pinched. And I got really worried about that. And then I started watching it, and I was like, this thing's getting bigger. This is weird. What is going on? So then we went and talked to our doctor about it, and she's like, that's a hemangioma. And at that time, I only knew about the superficial ones that were on top of the skin that were red. And I was like, wait, but it looks completely different. She's like, no, there's different kinds. So she just has one right here, and it will probably go away. My doctor thinks that thinks it's gonna go away in her by the time she's 5, but some of them don't go away until they're 10. But we went and saw a dermatologist for it, and they said that this is probably the best hemangioma and the best placement that she could have gotten. So they're like, we don't want to treat it, just leave it alone, just keep an eye on it, and she'll be fine. So I never knew about those things. They're really, really scary. They're non-cancerous, and they're kind of freaky at first. So I want you guys to definitely, if you are expecting, is just to kind of research and look, because they are very common in Caucasian babies that are females, and also that it runs in the family, hereditary. And I honestly don't know anyone in my family, and I don't think Joel knows anyone in his family that has hemangiomas. So it's just weird, but they say it's more common in females and Caucasian babies. So That was very, very interesting. And they're also mainly found on the face, the scalp, the chest, and the back. The other kind is a mix where it's kind of like a deep and a superficial, which is the most common one, but Riley has a deep one. But yeah, they are kind of scary, like really, really scary, but they're gonna be totally fine with it. And yeah, I just have never shown Riley's on camera. I just rather not. Definitely, I wanted to share my experience with that because I never knew about it and I freaked out about it and I've never heard anyone really talk about it. The only person I really heard talk about it was Shannon Rose. I actually DM her a lot. She's a good friend of mine and we talk all the time about our babies because our babies are, I think, like less than a week apart. And she is amazing, amazing mom to beautiful Snow, and Snow actually has a hemangioma, but she has a superficial one on her head. I really love watching her content because she's put such a big awareness on it, and she always gives you guys updates of little Snow as well, but she is so, so cute. So that's when I first heard about what hemangioma was, because I had no idea, and that's what I thought that they were, but there's different kinds, and that's when I found out Riley had one too. But yeah, so definitely look it up and kind of keep your eyes out. I think they really start popping up after a few weeks after birth, and then they'll get bigger and then they'll stop growing, but they'll look like they'll get bigger once they start losing their baby fat, just as a heads up. Totally fine though, she's good. Another thing that I wanted to talk about were blocked tear ducts. Never knew about these, ever. No one ever talks about blocked tear ducts, which is actually very common in babies. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with Riley's eye. Like, it was so goopy. It was around the first like 2-3 weeks, like everything kind of hit us after another. And I was just like, what is going on? What are all these things that I never knew about? So they basically, some babies are born with blocked tear ducts and they'll clear up over a couple weeks, or they'll clear up in the first year of life. If they don't clear up in the first year of life and get unblocked, then the doctor can go in there and unblock it after 1 year of life, but most of them do clear up on their own. And so what I did with that is we told the doctor about it. She goes, you know what? She goes, just use a warm compress on it because it almost looks like pink eye, to be honest, because there's a bunch of gunk coming out. She's like, just take some breast milk with a cotton pad and wipe her eye a couple times a day. So this time I was pumping and stuff, so I would just take a little bit, like I would like save a little bit on the side, and I would wipe her eye with it, and it literally cleared up, I wanna say, in about a week, which was awesome. Breast milk does wonderful things, you guys. It is magic, let me tell you, especially for skin or like cuts, anything like that. Amazing healing properties in it. So that's, I know it's crazy to think like breast milk in the eye, like what? But no, it's amazing. One of my friends right now, her daughter is about a month older than Riley. She's got one still. She's had it since birth. And I told her about that and she's like, oh my God, I wish I would have known that, because she's no longer nursing either anymore. She's like, I wish I would have known that. I would have tried that. But most of them do clear up in the first year of life. And then if not, then the doctor can just do a quick little thing and it's no big deal. But I had no idea what that was. So if you guys have a baby that comes home from the hospital and you're noticing that gunk and everything and they tell you it's a blocked tear duct, try some breast milk. It worked. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about really quickly is postpartum depression. I don't really want to get too deep into it because I kind of talked a little bit about it in a Q&A that I did on my channel already. So I honestly did not think I was gonna get postpartum depression. I was like, I'm gonna be fine, like no, nothing, you know, no worries there. But your hormones after you give birth, oh, they're crazy. They are crazy. You are like a roller coaster. You want to cry or laugh, smile about everything, like anything. Like, you are so sensitive. Plus, I think what makes it even worse is the tiredness, because right when you bring them home from the hospital, guess what? You're not going to be sleeping all night. They're going to be waking up every 3 to 4 hours, and you're going to be nursing, and you're going to be so tired. And being that tired also kind of makes the symptoms worse. And I noticed the nights that she had hard nights made my symptoms even worse the next day, and I would just like cry. I would just cry. It's very important to talk to someone. If you are feeling like that, find someone close to you, your mom, sister, or friends, or just anyone, doctor, like anyone. Just talk to someone, just cry it out. Like, I know it's like a stigma, like you don't want to feel weak or vulnerable, but it will get worse if you keep it bottled up. So definitely talk to someone, talk to your spouse, tell them that, hey, I'm not doing right now. Like, I need your help. I need you to help me take care of the baby and just give me like a little bit. So my biggest thing is spouses, chip in there each day for at least an hour. Let the mom get a break. Let the mom go take a bath. Let the mom, well, you can't really take a bath in the beginning if you have vaginal or a C-section, but let them just rest or go get their nails done or go just be by themselves for an hour or 30 minutes at least, because it literally makes you like a fresh person all over again. And that's the biggest thing that I think we definitely learned through going through it with Joel. He wanted to help out with everything that he could, but the baby, because he didn't really know what to do. And he's like, well, I can't nurse him. I can't do this. So that's all you. But then when we communicated, and then he really started helping out more with Riley, and that's when I started getting better. And so I definitely did not know about postpartum depression or baby blues. I thought it wasn't gonna hit me. I was like, it's not gonna hit me, I'll be fine. But it did. But yeah, so that was one thing I also really want to talk about because it's very, very common. And again, I didn't think it was gonna hit me, but it did. And I think for me, it's because I just didn't stop. I think the second go around when I get pregnant again, because we wanna have a second, I'm going to take a break and just really soak it in, because also it's going to be my last. I only want 2 babies, so it's going to be my last. So it does tend to hit you even harder when you know it's going to be your last, because that will be your last pregnancy. This will be your last newborn stage, and so it hits moms really hard there. That's definitely something that I'm going to do when I decide to go through it again. So definitely make sure to talk to someone. The next thing that I want to talk about is life changes. Having a baby will change your life. I mean, everyone's probably like, duh, it's gonna change your life, but you don't feel like it's going to change it all that much. Like in the beginning, you're like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. This will be so easy. No, it's going to change your life financially. It's going to change your marriage or your relationship with your partner. It's gonna change your everyday life, like your routine. Everything was always about you. That's gone. So it's going to change it dramatically. And some parts are going to be for the better because you have this little bundle of joy that you absolutely love, and kids are amazing to watch them grow, watch them hit new milestones. I love it, but it's also like you kind of lose yourself in a bit. So that's where you really want to remember to take some time for yourself, because this baby is now surviving and thriving because of you, and it's all gonna be on you. So that's huge. It's a huge responsibility to take. So I know that, like, seeing it on social media, some people are having babies and they're like, oh, I'm getting baby fever, and then they have it and it's like, oh shoot, like, why didn't anyone talk about this? Like, why didn't anyone talk about this? Like, it's so stressful. So that's why I really wanted to talk about it and really share these things to really make it realistic for everyone. It's very trying. Like, babies, one, aren't cheap. They're very expensive. Like the hospital bill that you have to pay, most likely you'll have a deductible for the hospital, and that might be $2,500, depending on how good your insurance is. So they're gonna cost you money just by delivering and going to all those hospital visits. They're gonna cost you money by getting stuff for the baby, diapers, wipes, all that. It's still going to be an added cost each month that you didn't have before. I definitely want to be realistic on how much it does change your life financially, emotionally, and just all that. Like, it dramatically changes your life, and it's not always going to be easy. You're going to be stressed out, especially if you have to work. For me, being a working mom, it is so hard because you have that guilt of like, oh, I'm not spending every minute with her. I'm not soaking in all of this with her, but I have to work. And then if you feel that you're not putting enough time into your work, then you're like, oh, my work is going to suffer from this. So there's just a lot with it. And I just wanted to be honest about that, like that feeling that you get. And with Riley, now that we definitely have a really good balance, she goes to daycare, but she only goes to daycare till 2 o'clock, and that's it. And then some days I keep her home if I get all my work done for the week, and then that's just like mommy and daughter days. And I think that's been like a really good balance for us. But it definitely is hard because I'm like, even though she is only there for so many hours, I still feel guilty about not having her with me and spending this time with her. She's only gonna be this little once, so it's really, really hard. I just have to say, like, having family nearby is huge. If you have any family or friends nearby that can help you out and maybe give you date nights, because this is where it can affect the marriage, you are so kind of focused, both of you are like focused on the little baby, that you kind of forget yourselves. Like you forget each other. And you forget that the other person needs love because you're giving all this love to this baby, but then you're not getting any love anywhere back, and you're kind of just, it's just stress, everything going there. So date nights are huge, and which is why it's really, really awesome if you have family or really good friends nearby that you can trust to watch the baby, so you can go to dinner or you can go to movies and stuff. And that's what's been awesome with us for having my mom literally down the street from us. Ashley, my sister, lives around the corner from us, so she's babysat Riley before. She'll just come over and babysit her. My mom will come over, or we'll just drop her off with my mom. We actually just had our first trial night with her where she stayed over at my mom's house because we're getting ready to go to Hawaii, and we told each other, you know what, we could easily take Riley with us, but we need to just go for ourselves and just get some of our alone time. And also we want to do a lot of the activities, which aren't the easiest to do or even possible to do if you have a baby. So my parents are awesome, and they're taking her for that period, and the trial run went really well. It was definitely a little hard at first because you're like, oh, I don't have her here. She's so close. I can just go get her. But I actually got a little bit of relief and just kind of like a good night's sleep of no worry. And yeah, so that's awesome. So having my parents so close has been huge. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have my family so close. It would be so hard. We would get through it, but it definitely would be a challenge. There's just a lot. It does a lot. Your life changes. So I just wanted to kind of put a little bit more awareness on that, because I know that it's kind of a given, but then you're like, oh yeah, I know my life's gonna change, but you don't really sit down and think about what specifically is going to change. The next thing I want to talk about is childcare. So a lot of people don't even think about having a baby, like, oh, if I have to go back to work, how much is childcare going to cost? Childcare is very, very expensive. It is not cheap, and sometimes it doesn't make sense for someone going to work because they're going to work just to pay for childcare in a sense. And it is very pricey. It can range anywhere from $1,000, maybe minimum $800, and that's not even probably full time, to like more than $1,300. It's all ranges for different areas. So definitely, like in the beginning, before you're thinking about conceiving and you are like, oh, I have to work too, is look in the area of what you would do for childcare or how you would handle childcare and all that to kind of prepare for it. That's one thing I wish I would have done. Kind of like thought about, oh, what would I do? Because I thought I was going to be able to do it, like be able to take care of her at home while working. Not gonna happen. My mom helps out, but she can't help out every single day or just on the drop of a hat, because she helps take care of my grandma too, and my grandma is sick right now, so she can't just like be here at any time of the day. So when I get like something like campaign done, or if I have to make corrections somewhere, I have to be able to do it immediately. So this really helps. So I wish I definitely would have looked into the prices, but I found a great one here that's literally in our neighborhood right next to my sister's house, which she's excited about because she's gonna probably use her as well for her baby. She's awesome. She only has 2 other kids, and it's so easy, clean environment. She's great with her. Riley really likes her, and it's literally like a 2-minute drive from our house, so it works out perfectly. But definitely prepare for that and see how financially it's gonna work for you. Kind of observe some too, like, oh, I like this one, will they have an opening during this time, and all that stuff. My biggest advice is less kids. Check the quantity of kids. Less kids the better. How clean the environment is. If you were at like a big daycare and not an at-home daycare, check to see how big the turnover rate is with teachers and see how they are with the kids, see how warm they are, or if they're cold. You want to be really watching that, because remember that these are our little ones, and this is such a really important time that you want them to be with someone that you can trust. So yeah, childcare, huge. Definitely look into it beforehand. All right, so quickly on maternity leave, I just want to touch base on this real quick because a lot of people aren't aware of this. So maternity leave, people think they're going to get their full pay when they're off, and that's not true. The state is only going to pay you a certain amount of your salary or your income that you make, And some companies out there might actually compensate what they do not pay. So that way you get your full income each month, which is awesome. There's so many good companies out there that do that, but there's a ton of companies out there that don't. And I've kind of seen it more on the side that they don't. I know my sister is now dealing with this, so she's saving up as much PTO that she can, because also they'll only give you so many weeks off. Like, I believe the minimum is 12 weeks. Some places, I know in some areas, I think it's like also some states, they don't even have to give you maternity leave, but then in others, they give you like the full year. I think Canada, they give you the full year. I think that's what my brother-in-law's family said, which is amazing. Why can't they do that for the women here, like to give us a full year? But no, it really comes down to your work. So you want to talk to your HR and find out how much maternity leave you're going to get. Are they going to compensate and pay you your full amount? And can you use like PTO time to make your maternity leave longer as well? So yeah, a lot of moms will try to work until the very end, till they deliver, so that way they can use up all those days afterwards. That's a really hard thing right there. A lot of people don't realize that they don't get their full pay, which some families, like bringing a baby in and having those extra expenses, and then all of a sudden you're not getting your full income. It's kind of like, whoa, what happened here? So you definitely want to prepare for that and see what your business or what company you work for offers. I don't hear anyone talking about that. So I really wanted to make you guys aware of that and like prepare for it, just in case if your company doesn't pay you the full amount. All right, so that's everything that I could think of to share with you guys that I didn't expect when I was expecting. I really wanted to make this video to be very realistic about the challenges of having a baby, because I know even on my social media, I show all the amazing parts, because any challenging parts, you really don't want to be on camera, or I'm like busy with Ryan. I'm like, don't have time to like whip out a phone or even think about whipping out a phone. So I just wanted to be very honest about it all. It is amazing having a little one and watching them grow and the milestones. It makes it all worth it. All these challenges, all these hardships, it makes it all worth it. But the better prepared you are, the more easier life is going to be when you have them. And that's why I wanted to share these with you guys. So I hope you found this video very helpful. Let me know if you guys want to do any Q&As, like if you have any questions for me and you want me to film a video on those. Let me know in the comments down below, and if I see a lot of those comments, then I will definitely do one on Instagram and answer all the questions over here. But yeah, so I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it and I didn't scare you too much. Just know that it all finds a way of working out. It always does. So you find a way to make it work. But it is challenging and it is also rewarding at the same time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one.